Preparing to live stream. Okay. And I believe that we are live on YouTube. So, so I do have apologies for absence from Paul Henry, who is unfortunately unwell. And I do have, Deirdre has got into the meeting. So as this is our first planning meeting since the new council, we currently don't have a chair or a deputy chair. There is Deirdre. She's got in. Fantastic. We can't hear her, but hold on. I'll ask her to unmute. So the first job of this committee is to elect a chair. So could I have any nominations or proposals for chair of the planning committee, please? Deirdre.
Yes. Could I promote Graham Corney, please?
I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now? No.
I know what you're saying. I can lip read, and I know that she's nominating Graham because I'm psychic.
I can hear you.
And she's just told me on the phone as well.
Yeah.
Do we have any other nominations for chair? In which case, Graham, you are elected as chair of the planning committee for this forthcoming year.
Bravo.
And I hand over the chair to you.
Thank you, Clerk. The next, excuse me, the next item on the agenda is the appointment of my deputy, and I would propose that Deirdre, with her extensive knowledge of planning matters, would be my deputy, please. Have we got a seconder? Lorna Jackson, thank you. So Deirdre, I think, is duly appointed as my...
Thank you very much. Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Right, okay.
So moving on, Paul has mentioned with regard to the minutes of the last meeting, we were referring in the notes of the agenda, the 21st of January, whereas I think the minutes in fact are March.
Yeah, I've corrected that.
Which, which I have read and reminded myself, and I believe that they are an accurate reflection of what we discussed. So I would vote that we accept those, if that's okay with everybody else.
Agreed.
Okay, so we've accepted that. Declarations of interest. Are there any declarations of interest in relation? Alison.
Yes, I need to declare that I'm a unitary councillor and I sit on the South Area Planning Committee and the Strategic Sites Committee. I need to declare that I'm not predetermined on any of the applications that will arise tonight, and I'm going to keep an open mind on all of the applications. I will listen to everything that's said, and I may ask questions, but I won't be determining you. I just need to make that clear.
Thank you. Jackson.
I like to declare that I'm a unitary councillor at Buckinghamshire Council. I'm on the Finance and Resources Select Committee, but also on the Strategic Sites Committee. Thank you.
Thank you. Paul, did you? Yes, you've got your hand up.
Yes, I'm a member of the Beaconsfield Society.
Thank you. Colette.
Yes, as you know, I'm a new councillor and local council is completely new to me. So if you don't mind, may I take this opportunity to ask you a question, Graham?
Yes.
About the declarations of interest. As Paul has just said, he's a member of the Beaconsfield Society, and everybody in Beaconsfield knows that Alison is the chair. So the Beaconsfield Society have commented on quite a few applications and have objected. They comment only in objection in the ones that I've seen. So therefore, is that an interest in these applications, as Alison has obviously her discretion is fettered by being the chair of an organisation who have already commented, and by commenting again on those applications. Alison, obviously, if I could finish, then I'm asking you, Graham, if this commenting on an application twice effectively is the way forward. Have we got any rules or regulations that we're going to stand by on that? Or are we quite happy for the Beaconsfield Society to comment and then the chair to come into a town council meeting and comment for a second time on the same application of a Beaconsfield resident?
I think Alexa actually is going to give the detail on that.
Yeah, as we are a statutory consultee, we're not the decision-making body. So as a result, we are making a comment. Many other people will make comments as well. And it's, whilst we may look at other objections that have been made by other groups or individuals, and typically people do only comment to object, very few people write and support applications. It's absolutely no skin off our nose because we are not the determining body in this instance.
So the chair of the Beaconsfield Society is commenting on an application and then coming to a town council meeting and commenting again. Is that correct?
No. In fact, actually, if you look at the plans, the Beaconsfield Society objection, if it is such an objection,
It is. It's on a letterhead, no address though, so it may not stand.
No. The letters from the Beaconsfield Society are signed by Judith McDonnell on behalf of, not in fact by Alison.
Well, by law, if it's got a letterhead, it's the Beaconsfield Society, isn't it?
But yes, she is. Judith McDonnell is responding on behalf of the Beaconsfield Society. But as Alexa said, let's just be absolutely clear. We're a deciding body with regard to participation. We are only a consultee organisation. Deirdre, I think did you want to comment? Sorry.
No, I think everyone is free to give their comments on things because, as you say, we're not the final deciders. It's then going on to unitary. You know, if we were the final deciders, it'd be more serious.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, as long as everybody's happy with the fact that obviously that means that the residents of Beaconsfield in some cases will have not one, not two, but three comments by the same people. Because Alison will be commenting by the Beaconsfield Society, by default of being chair, by being a town councillor, and then again by being unitary on planning. So I just want to put that out there. Yeah.
Chairman, can I suggest that we hear from Alison herself?
Yes, I was just about to suggest that Alison, who's requested to respond. Alison.
Thank you. I haven't commented on any application, and I've just said that I don't intend to comment on any application. So that's all I have to say. And I'm not here as the chairman of the Beaconsfield Society. I'm here as Councillor Alison Wheelhouse in an entirely different capacity. And that's all I have to say on the matter.
Thank you.
Sorry, can I ask a question of clarification, Alison? What do you mean by you won't comment on any application? Surely as a member of the planning committee, you still have that role to do as part of the town council.
My role here is to listen and ask questions. I'm not here to predetermine any view on any planning application.
Sorry, you said you ask any. So maybe I misheard you.
Right. Okay. But now it's just let's get into the plans and let's see how this.
Chairman, can I ask a question? I'm also slightly. But no,
Jackson. Yeah.
Yeah. So my question is, Chairman, is that, and this is in response to Alison's comments, is that Councillor Wheelhouse says that she is not predetermined. She comes off an organisation that's written in with an organisation that she's the public face of and she chairs. So I just like some clarification because I don't want us effectively to be, for the next 12 months or next, to just to be clear how this is going to work effectively. and what the rules are on there.
Okay, Alison.
I'm not a member of the Beaconsfield Society's Planning Committee. I play no part in the objections that the Society writes. They are sent by Judy, and I play no part in deciding whether or not to object to any application.
Okay. But my comment would be, Alison, if you effectively as a member of this committee are merely a listener and not a participator, which I think is what you said, does seem a bit tricky, because certainly in the past, when we've had members of the planning committee, we try and take into account everybody's views, whatever they may be, and then try and reach a consensus as to what the council's view on a particular application is. Do you have any comments on that?
I can't be predetermined on any of these applications, but I'm very happy to listen to everybody else's views, and I'm very happy to ask questions, but I can't formulate any predetermined view on these applications.
So, Councillor can I ask a question of Councillor Wheelhouse, Chairman, or can I ask a question to the Chairman?
Yes, indeed. Yes,
so,
yes.
So my question, I'm trying to get my head around this, is that if one is the chair and public face of an organisation that's writing in, but is yet saying that he or she is not in line or supportive of the comments of that said organisation, I think it's rather confusing for the general public.
There's no confusion. I've taken no part in the decision of the Beaconsfield Society to decide to object to an application or not. I don't see anything confusing about that.
But with all due respect, you are the chairman of that organisation, which has written in, presumably on letterhead with your name as chairman on it. The website says that you're the chairman of it. The chairman of an organisation directs and organises and manages and is the legal entity, the legal person for the organisation.
No, my name doesn't appear on the objections, and I've played no part in the decision whether or not to object.
My point is, you are legally responsible for the organisation as the chairman.
No, I'm not.
Well, presumably you're the chair of the trustees or the directors, whichever way your unincorporated association that you've set yourself up to be. And should, for example, if the association is, contacted by HMRC or by lawyers, they will write to the chairman or the board of the trustees or, the directors, whichever way you're set up. And you're the chairman of that, and you're the legal person responsible for that. So how can one say...
I'm not the legal person responsible for the Beaconsfield Society.
But you're the chairman.
Yes, but that doesn't mean that I'm responsible for everything that the Beaconsfield Society does.
But you are managing the Beaconsfield Society, are you not?
No, I'm not. We have a committee which is divided into subcommittees, and I'm not on the Beaconsfield Society's planning subcommittee. I really think that the people of Beaconsfield want us to get on with the job in hand, the agenda that we have tonight. Rather than
I also think that people of Beaconsfield would like us to follow the rules and be transparent and to be clear of how we operate as a planning committee going forward.
I think I'll be absolutely clear.
May I comment?
Alexa.
This is all completely irrelevant to the job of this committee. Any of you might write in an objection to any planning application in your own right or as a member of another society. It doesn't make any difference to the job that this committee has to do. Alison is a member of this committee, she is a member of this council, and she is able to listen and contribute exactly the same as any of the rest of you. None of you can predetermine any decision or application either. So that's all Alison has said, is she's not predetermining anything. She's made it very clear that she's not predetermining anything. And this is rather wasting the time of this committee, having a rather irrelevant conversation that doesn't make any difference to the job that this committee has to do this evening.
Agree.
Sorry, Deirdre, I can't remember. Was it you first? Or Lorna's got her hand up. So, Lorna, is it quick?
Well, it depends on the answer. So I just want to clarify. So we are all members of this committee who spend time and effort to review the plans and bring our ideas to represent the town, and we debate them, and we'll come to a consensus of what we think is best for the town. Now, outside of this committee, the rest of the town councillors can come and listen. So my question would be is, Alison, if you're not going to contribute to this committee, would it be best that another member of the town council gave us their views and you can sit on the sidelines and listen? Are we missing an opportunity here to have another voice?
Alexa, how many people are allowed to be on this committee?
8.
Okay.
Alison can contribute to this committee.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry if I heard you wrong, Alison. I thought you said you're going to sit and listen and you weren't going to contribute.
I'm going to ask questions and I'm going to listen, but I'm not going to contribute any predetermined view or vote one way or the other.
I'm sorry. I am absolutely, as a new councillor, lost here. Nobody surely is coming into here predetermined on anything. We are going to have a discussion and a debate. I am lost, Alison, as to what role you think you're going to play. Because I think I agree with you. I'm not predetermined either. As Lorna has just said, we'll have a discussion and then we will come to our agreed position and then we will respond to the application in due course as a town council. So will you be forming part of that or will you just be listening? I'm lost.
Well, I think we better see how it goes, don't we? I think I'm very well equipped and qualified to be on this committee, probably more so than anybody else on this committee, I would say.
Fine, so contribute then. Don't say you're not going to.
I am being very, very clear about what I can and can't do, because the residents of Beaconsfield will expect me to be able to represent them at Unitary Council. And that's why I am being very, very clear about the rules, about what I can and can't do. And I will not be predetermined. And I have to express that very, very clearly. And I do think that we are wasting everybody's time. And this isn't a good look for our town council.
Well, there's an opinion. Thank you for your opinion, Alison.
Yeah, Deirdre, I think you wanted.
I just feel that Alison has every right to contribute to the meeting, say what she wants to say about anything, and then we don't have to agree to it. We don't have to agree with anything anyone says. We debate it, and as you say, come to a view. And everyone on this committee should be able to put their ideas in, and not she should be able to contribute if she's a member of the committee. And because we're all the same.
As chair, I agree with you. And as Alison's just said, she has extensive experience in these matters. And her contribution would be greatly appreciated. And as we're not actually the deciding authority, we're merely advisory, it would seem to me to be of great help to the residents of Beaconsfield if you did contribute to the views of the council, because we're going to try and get a collective view on each application, are we not?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes. We don't have to,
because we spent half an hour.
I know, but I just think that everybody has ignored what Lorna's very valid point was, and that is that if you don't feel you can contribute, Alison, then I'm afraid there are other councillors who could come in and contribute. So as you say, I'm happy to let's see it. Let's see how we go. But if at the end of this session you really feel there is opposition with your role as unitary, and you feel that the Beaconsfield residents deserve the unitary side of things, then could you please step aside and go into one of the other committees with the acquiescence of another councillor and let somebody else come in? That's all I've got to say.
No, thank you, Colette. I think the Beaconsfield residents want to see me here, listening to their views and the views of everybody else on this panel, and they want me to have the opportunity to go and represent them at unitary level as well. And that's what I'm here to do. I'm here to represent the people of Beaconsfield to the best of my ability.
Well, we've obviously got an impasse. What I was just, excuse me, what I suggest we do is let's have this meeting and let's see how it goes. I would say as chair, Alison, that the fact that you don't want to have any input, I do find a bit strange, I have to say, being on a committee. I've never been on a committee where one member doesn't want to have any input. However, let's move on and let's look at the plans. So the first one is 13 Horseshoe Crescent, Beaconsfield, which is part 2, part single story rear extension, 2-story front extension, additional side window and cycle store, 2 front garden. Now, I don't know whether anybody's had an opportunity to look at this. I have. And the right-hand side of the property does overlook the bottom of a garden of another property. The trouble with Horseshoe Crescent, the plots are very narrow, as you probably know. And so we have had problems in the past, particularly with properties where there are 3 stories of neighbours being very concerned about being overlooked. In this particular case, from what I can see, we haven't got any letters of objection, and I don't think, in fact, there is that situation. So my suggestion is that we don't object, but I would be happy to receive comments from anybody else. Paul?
Yeah, if I'm right, is this the one where they also look to demolish a garage that sits in front of, I think, 13, there are 3 properties with 3 garages in front. My only comment really was, if they're going to demolish their garage, will it impact their neighbour's garage? That was my only comment on that.
I'm not aware of it. Sorry to interrupt you, Paul. I'm not aware. I don't believe that's in the application to demolish the garage. I'm not aware of that. Okay. I'm sorry, I haven't got. If we were in the chamber, of course, we could look at the application. To call each application up is a bit time consuming.
Okay.
Sorry, somebody else wanted the view?
Yeah, it was just me. I was just intending to bring up the ones, if there are contentious ones that you want to.
Well, I didn't think this was contentious, but by all means, Paul's brought up the point that they may apply to demolish the garage. As I say, I wasn't. I mean, the site. I don't know whether the cycle. Are you referring to this cycle store they're referring to? May have perhaps have been the garage. Actually, I don't know. That's a possibility, isn't it? I don't know.
I think just a simple comment, that was all. I don't have an objection to what they're doing. I just, if I've got the right one, then I think they just need to be careful not to impact their neighbour's garage when they take their
Okay. Yeah, that's fair enough. Fair enough.
Together.
Fair enough, Paul. We've got quite a few to get through tonight. I'm not trying to push you on, but there's a number. Okay, 36 Seeley's Row, Beaconsfield. Partial demolition of existing external utility room and erection of single-story side rear extension with rear canopy, single-story front porch extension, replacement of existing timber weatherboarding to side elevations, 2 front roof lights and changes to windows. Now, there has been a letter of objection from the Beaconsfield Society, which relates to not actually the, sorry, oh dear, where are we? Oh, here we are. Yeah, sorry, I've lost it. There's 3 letters from the Beaconsfield Society tonight, and sorry, anyway, I've got it now. Yes, they're not objecting to the improvements and extensions of the property. And indeed, from what I can see, I would object to that. They've made a couple of points. The new wood cladding on the rear, north and south elevations should be installed horizontally, not vertically, in order to match the surrounding properties in the Seeley's estate. And the vertical wood cladding proposed at the front elevation at the front door should be brick to match the existing house. Now, I've actually driven past and had a look at this property. And frankly, I would tend to agree with them. I don't think on cost grounds it's going to make a huge difference to the owners. I wouldn't have thought so. And certainly in terms of the cladding, it would be, I would have thought, sensible to be installing it horizontally because it would match the other properties. So I would suggest that what we say is that we've no objection in principle to the proposed demolition and extension works, but we would hope that they would have the cladding placed horizontally as opposed to vertically, in keeping with the other properties, and that the front elevation would be brick as opposed to wood, vertical wood.
They be conditions? Are we asking?
Conditions, yes.
Yes, indeed. Sorry. Yes. Sorry. Yeah. Deirdre, what?
Yeah, I agree with that, and I think as much as possible they should try and keep it in keeping with the other houses.
Yes, absolutely.
And we just agree to it, providing conditions were made that was adhered to.
Yes.
And try and keep the look of the place in keeping.
Yes, I mean one or two properties on Sealy's have gone a bit awry, as we know. But anyway, this particular, I mean, this is Sealy's Road, of course, the main road. We really need to get it to. So I certainly would agree with that. Okay, 34 Candlemas Lane, part single, part 2-story rear extension, single-story front extension, changes to windows, rear dormer and 2 front roof lights. We have passed in and reviewed similar developments in Candlemas Lane. And one particular development, actually, the neighbours across the road objected to because of the dormers looking into their bedrooms or something. We haven't had any objections, and from what I could see of the plans, I don't think that applies here. So my suggestion is that we don't object. I have no objection.
I visited the site. Absolutely, I think it'll be a vast improvement on what is currently there.
Yes, absolutely right, Paul. I agree with you. Yeah. Okay, 103 Gregory's Road, part single, part 2-story side extension, and single-story rear extension. It's the footprint is quite large here, and again, no objection from neighbours. Doesn't seem to be any overlooking. Paul, yes, you've got a comment.
Well, Colette was first. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I beg your pardon, Colette. Yeah.
Yeah, this is obviously an area of special character, and part of that character is it's characterized by having sensitive views and large landscape plots, but also the actual being able to see around the houses. And whilst something very similar was approved in 2011, this is much bigger, and it goes right up to the edge of the boundary of their neighbor. So I would personally, if you want to keep within the special character, I wouldn't approve this.
No.
I think it's too big.
It is quite large. I agree with you.
And it's too close to the boundary. Yeah.
Okay. Is it within the meter? I didn't think
it's just within the meter.
Okay,
but then the special character says that the buildings should be open. They should have open spaces around them. That's part of the sensitive views is part of that. So I'm surprised it hasn't been. Yeah, you can see there. Well done, Alexa.
Yes.
And on it shows it going to the boundary. So it's hard to.
Well, yes, that's not even a meter, is it? No. Okay, fair enough. Right. Anybody else have any comments to make?
I think we should.
Sorry, Alison's got her hand up. Yeah.
I mean, the rules do say that there is a distinction between a single-story and double-story extension in terms of the 1 meter rule. So I think that's something you need to bear in mind. Okay.
Yes. Accepted. Sorry, Colette, did you want to?
No, it's fine. It's double and single. So.
Yes, it is. It is. Okay. The adjoining property is in the middle of its plot, so it's I imagine that's why they haven't objected, because there's no problem over light, or I assume overlooking. I don't think there are windows down that side. But anyway, I accept the point that you're making. So should we respond and say that we are concerned that this extension effectively is absolutely on the curtilage of the site, which we believe is not in accordance with the regulations, and that the overall size of the development is such that it's not in keeping with the street scene. And that's really what you're saying, I think. Is that right?
That's absolutely
Deirdre,
right.
sorry, Deirdre.
Yes. No, I agree with that. And I think it's worrying they're going up so close to the boundary, because the problem arises if the next door neighbour suddenly decides to extend sideways, and then they'll be right next to each other and they practically start clashing, you know. So I think
Yes.
it is. But if it's within the legal distance, there's nothing we can do about it. But I just query that it is. I'm not sure on that one. Looks too close to me.
It does. No, well, it's certainly that plan, as you rightly say.
So maybe that's one that the county could look at, you know.
Yes, yes. Okay, moving on. Arenal, 33 Amersham Road, single-storey rear extension, increase in roof height of part of the existing single-storey structure. Again, there are similar extensions in Amersham Road. I didn't think that this was a very particular problem. I didn't object to this. Yeah, okay. Anybody, any comments? No, thank you. 25 Brownswood Road, single-storey front and rear extensions, changes to windows and doors, internal alterations, erection of a detached front garage outbuilding with living space in the loft. It's quite substantial, but again, the footprint of this property is quite large, as you probably know, with Brownswood Road. Similar developments have taken place in the road. I haven't got any objection. And that, Paul, sorry, yes.
Yeah, I think it is. My concern was only thinking about the garage. It is a large, quite a large construction. However, it is well hidden to its rear by large trees and so on. So it's not going to overlook anybody. My only thought was, and again, being new here, I'm not quite sure what the rules would be. I would not want ever for this to be sold separately to the main house. Because once you've built something of this size, there is a possibility that it could be sold as a separate house. And I don't know what the rules are on that. So I would just, it doesn't seem, I wouldn't want that to happen. I don't think that would be right.
It almost certainly won't happen, Paul, but what we do normally put a caveat that the property and the garage are to be treated as one unit and must not be sold separately. But I take, here we are, yes, I take your point. Yep. But the garage, as you rightly say, it is covered by, shrouded with trees, so yeah.
But it's nearly 10 meters wide, 7 meters high, nearly 7 meters deep. So yeah, no, that's fine. A caveat like that, I'm sure that's not going to be a problem to the owners.
Okay, that's fine. Anybody? Alison.
I would like to ask the committee's views on the ecology and trees checklist. Alexa, could you maybe get that up on screen? Because I think it mentions the ecology on site, and I'd like to hear the views of the committee on that, please. Page 1 of the ecology and trees checklist. If you scroll down to the bottom of page 1, there we go. What are the committee's views on the bottom of that page 1 there?
Well, yes, it's interesting that on the reptiles, I don't know who the reptiles are that would be using the site.
Greater crested newts.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
I beg your pardon. Right. Okay.
Bats.
Yes.
Has this been?
Otters.
But
I'm
sorry.
sure they haven't got crayfish.
Or otters?
Well, one would have thought not. No. No.
Oh, dear.
Otters water. Is it? I didn't detect a pond or a lake on the site. Was I? Have I missed that? So no, I didn't see that. So far as there are no in the ecological checklist, I don't think there are many large trees that are being chopped down. Are there not? I didn't see an application for that. Oh, here we are. Ponds within 250 meters. Has that been ticked? I can't see. The right-hand box. I've got pictures of you guys.
Yeah, it's ticked, but I can't see it on the site.
I can't. I couldn't see it on the map. No. On the plan. Yeah.
What's the top of that column that they've ticked? What's at the very top of the page? No.
Oh, it's a
No.
Okay.
So there isn't one.
So
I don't
Right.
think how they can have water voles then, if they haven't got a stream on.
can I make a suggestion? I think they should be asked to review this because I think that might just be wrong.
Yes, they probably thought they should cover every eventuality,
And I think
even though it may not apply to them.
Yeah.
But yes, it's a good point. We could make we could suggest that in respect of otters, water voles, and white claw. I don't know what a white clawed crayfish is. I have to say. I apologise for my ignorance.
We don't have them in Buckinghamshire. I don't think so.
Well, no, I wouldn't. I thought a crayfish. I mean, it is a crustacean, isn't it? Anyway. Yeah. Right. So we can make that comment. Good point. Okay. Sorry. So far as the rest of the application is concerned, are we objecting or not? Have we got any comments to make on that?
I made a note about the not to be a separate dwelling.
Yes, indeed. Oh, here we are. There's the crayfish. Yes. That's fine.
I certainly haven't seen any of those in Ledbury.
I don't think we'd see that one of those in a pond, would we? I wouldn't have thought so. No. Otherwise, we'd have to make sure our youngsters didn't walk barefoot in ponds. Okay, moving on. Elwood Grange, 64 Berks Road, erection of outbuilding to rear garden. Yeah, it's anyway. I didn't object to this. I don't know what's going to be in the outbuilding. I don't think that was on the plan. I didn't see any reference. I assume it's I don't know. Well, I don't know what they're going to do. Sorry, Deirdre. Yeah.
Well, could that be turned into a separate residence? I mean, this is the worry, isn't it?
Well, we will put in that if the property is to be sold, then clearly that should be deemed to be part of the property. Yeah. I didn't see any reference to what it was going to be used for. I assumed it was an office or something, or perhaps it's a gym. I don't know.
But
anyway,
if they, yes.
Sorry. I didn't. It's not in relation to the property. It wasn't particularly large. I didn't think it upset anybody, as far as I could see. So no objection. But as Paul quite rightly says, it should not be. Oh, there we are. Yes. Yeah.
It's a gym. I mean that.
It's a gym. Is it? Yes. Okay. Yes. Ah. Yeah. Right.
I think on previous applications, it's come back with qualification of it cannot be used for overnight accommodation.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. That's fair enough. Yeah. Okay. So what we're saying, no objection, but it mustn't be used for overnight sleeping accommodation. And if the property, the main residence, is put up for sale, then that must be sold with it. It cannot be sold as a separate unit. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. 14 Garvin Avenue, front porch extension, single-story detached outbuilding. I didn't have an objection to this. I don't know what anybody else's views are.
Again, it's quite close to the boundary, I think, but it was difficult to tell exactly.
Well, yes, yeah. Actually, in Garvin Avenue, there'll be quite a number of extensions of one sort and another. I mean, it's a single story, you know. I didn't have any major objection to it. Deirdre, did you want to make a comment?
No, if it's single, they can go very close to the boundary. If
Yes,
it's a single story.
Yes, yes.
And there are no objections from neighbours, are there? They haven't.
Nope, not when I looked, which was on Tuesday, I think, of this week. No, there wasn't. No, they're probably very popular folk, I guess. Garvin Avenue. Anyway, Two Wheeler Place, single story front extension. Yeah, I didn't get too excited about this one. Paul.
I just had to make an observation that the street sign for Wheeler Place is probably going to have the extension built on it. So somebody will have to relocate the street sign to presumably to the side of their building, but that just needs to be taken into consideration.
Good point. Yeah, sorry, I must confess I didn't actually visit the site, so you obviously have. I didn't, so I didn't notice that. Well, yes, presumably if they relocated the sign, is it going to make it more difficult for people to identify Wheeler's Place, do you think? I don't know.
Well, it shouldn't do, but it's something that the council, the unitary, will have to take into account because it's presumably their street sign.
Yes, indeed, yeah. Okay, any other comments? Thank you. 78 Cherry Tree Road, erection of a 6-foot fence at the side boundary of property. There's a picture, I think, of the fence on this application. Well, it's erection of a 6-foot fence at the side of the boundary of the property. I don't, presumably they're able to put a fence up, so I didn't have any objection to this. Yeah, no.
If it's close, if it's close
sorry.
to the highway, if it's close to the highway, sorry, I haven't looked at the plan, but if it's close to the highway, they're obliged to.
Yes, it's sorry. Yes, it is. Well, it's not that close, but it is. Yeah, you're right.
It's on that side.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. But it's a 6-foot fence. I can't, wouldn't.
But I think they've shaped the end of it so that it's not straight 6 foot. It's sloped to improve the visibility, let's say.
Yes, indeed. So, yeah. Okay. 7 Sheepcote Close, single-story rear extension, garage conversion to living accommodation, alterations to front entrance and window at rear elevation. Now, again, I think this is, there's a letter of objection from the Beaconsfield Society relating to this property. I can find it. And this is in relation to the rendering. They're saying that, again, it's part of Sealy's, of course, and the surrounding houses, as they quite rightly point out, are bricks and wood cladding, and this apparently relates to the new walls being rendered. What is not clear actually is what the rendering is actually going to be, i.e. what colour, what texture, etc. Doesn't appear to be any details about that. So I again, looking at the street scene, if it's going to be rendered in bright pink, stippled, it would somewhat stick out like I saw Thingybob, which I'm sure they're not proposing to do. I'm not quite sure why they're. So I think we perhaps need to suggest that in order to preserve the street scene, that it would be very sensible if they were able to use a combination of brick and wood cladding as surrounding properties have been so built. Unless anybody's any other comments to make? Yep, Deirdre. Deirdre?
No, I agree with that. Yes, I agree for uniformity of design.
Yes. Yes.
So I think we can always put in those sort of ideas. They may take no notice of it at Unitary, but I think we should plug away with that one, that
yes.
things should be
yes.
keeping with their neighbours.
Yes.
What are the other houses? Traditional brick? Sorry,
Yeah, brick front and then cladding, horizontal cladding. Yeah. Okay. Right, moving on. 36 Redwood Place, single story extension, new front door and side windows. There is, I think, a letter of objection relating to this, and it's in respect of privacy. I don't know whether you could call that up, Alexa. I was a bit, actually, when I read this, I was somewhat confused because the gentleman was not in Redwood Place. I think he was on the opposite side, back onto the property. And I did look at the plans, trying to understand what he was saying, and struggled a bit, I have to say. Anyway,
the objection is from a lady who lives in 35 Redwood Place.
Oh, I beg your pardon. Is it? Oh, sorry. No, I'm thinking of something else. I apologise.
And I if I'm correct,
here we are. Yes. This is the loss of light. And I think, yes, what effectively she's saying is the extension will restrict her light, and also they're proposing to put in a window which will look straight into the number 35's kitchen. And that is certainly, from what one can see on the plans, that seems to be the case. So I would suggest, which is what she has suggested, that this window is fixed and made of privacy glass or opaque, so that they've got the light, but they haven't got the ability to look into the adjoining property. The other aspect, which was the sorry, was this was the loss of light, was it not? Sorry,
yes.
That's I think this particular extension goes right across the back of the property, if I remember rightly. Where are we? Yeah. Yes. If you you can see it. It's right the way across. Now, where this has happened before, what we have suggested is that where it's very close to the adjoining property, that in fact there is a slope, an angle, so that it's not actually perpendicular to the wall, it's angled, so that there is, oh yes, you can see it. I mean, it's a very significant extension, and so one has to, so I would suggest that what we could ask the council to consider is whether on the adjoining side to number 35, that instead of the property being at right angles, it's angled. Sorry, somebody.
Yeah, can I say? I mean, I think if you look at it, it is. The other thing to say is that 36, I believe, is to the north of 35.
Yeah.
And obviously, this is a single story, so the light question, I'm not sure what the rules are on light with respect to a single story being on the north side. So
you don't have much of a right to light. They never worry about that really. It's just overlooking.
Yes, yes.
Overlooking is bad, but if you're overlooking a kitchen, that again doesn't seem to count. It's only if you're overlooking a living room.
But I couldn't.
Because nowadays you might live in your kitchen, so.
I couldn't see from the road what was between the house, but presumably there'll be a fence or a hedge. overlooking. So I'm not
Yes.
single story would be overlooking.
No, no. Well, but if it's sorry, as you rightly say, Deirdre, it's looking into the kitchen. But the proposed extension is that window opening, presumably, is merely to provide light, because they've got a lot of what's his name's in the roof, presumably to provide light. So if it's only to provide light, then if you had opaque glass and a fixed window, then you've achieved your objective. And I mean, it is pretty close to next door anyway. I mean, all you're going to do is look in somebody else's window. I wouldn't have, you know.
Alexa, that's the existing elevation, so that doesn't. I'm not sure that.
I thought that was the window. That
No. That's the existing. So you're not in the right picture there.
Yes, you need to propose, don't you? Yeah. Down. Yes, that's it.
So it's this one.
Yeah. No, that's fake. No, go. It's this one here. This one now coming into view. And the one further forward. Yeah, that one. Yeah.
Typically,
right.
You won't be able to object at ground floor level on a ground floor only extension, because typically people have hedges or fences in between. Exactly. But it's, I mean, you can comment on it, but it's unlikely to be a planning objection.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yes, I mean, in principle, the fact that it's built on the back, we probably can't say too much about. I agree. It's single story. It's not 2-story.
It's not overlooking.
No. Oh, no, it's not at all. No. Anyway, okay. Anybody, any further comments? No? Okay. 35 Amersham Road. First floor rear extension, loft conversion, roof extension, rear dormer, roof lights, an additional window to side elevation. Now, it's quite a lot going on here. But again, it's a reasonable sized plot. There aren't any objections, and there have been similar extensions of this nature on the properties in Amersham Road. So I didn't have too much to object to, but I don't know whether anybody's got any comments to make. No. Okay, shall we not object to that? Yep. Okay. 45 Amersham Road, Beaconsfield, demolition of garage and erection of a single-story side rear extension. Again, okay, knock the garage down, want to put a side a rear extension, fine. It's only single story, so I didn't have any objection to that. Yep. 44 Tilsworth Road, proposed single story rear and first floor side extension, loft conversion with roof extension and removal of chimney. Again, quite a significant proposal, but the plot is quite large. This was in the days where Taylor Wimpey actually gave people quite nice gardens before they moved up to the Spinney, and they got a bit tight up there. Sorry, you don't live in the Spinney, Jackson, do you? No.
No, anyway. I back onto the Spinney, so I
oh, okay. Well, you know what I mean.
I know what you mean.
Yes. So the plot's quite significant, and it's quite a significant extension. But I don't think, well, nobody's objected. Can't see there's any overlook or anything of that sort. So I haven't got any objection. Unless anybody has any comments. Yeah. Okay. Now 3 London End. Sorry, Paul. I beg your pardon.
Jackson.
Oh, Jackson. Sorry, Jackson.
Yeah. Chairman, no, I wanted to make a comment about 3 London End, but I will let you go. I just put my hand up because I wanted to make a comment about it.
Right. No. 3 London End is, yes. Okay. Change of use to part use, Class E, Part sui generis, takeaway, and internal alterations to facilitate the use. Now, there has been a letter of objection from the Beaconsfield Society in relation to this. One of the points they've made actually was that they've said there is no access to the back of this proposed takeaway restaurant. Well, in fact, there is. It's a bit restricted. Sorry, Jackson. Yes, do you want to make a comment? Yeah.
Yes, I've been looking through the documents for this. I can't see anything, Chairman, that talks about the impact that might have on traffic in O-Town, particularly around the roundabout, because my understanding, this is a pizza takeaway place where people come in and then sort of grab the pizza and get, presumably the scooters scooting off it. But I can't see anything in the planning applications and documents that, that concerns traffic, because as it's just off the roundabout. And as you know, we've got issues around parking and traffic in O-Town. That's the only comment I'd like to make. And to clarify, I don't know whether my fellow councillors agree with me or share the same concern.
Well, yes, this pizza establishment, actually, there's already such a place in Gerrards Cross, which is very popular. It's the same business which wants to acquire this in Beaconsfield. And as you rightly say, it's cliche, isn't it, that they keep on moving around. It's their premises, I think I'm right in saying, or was. They've obviously moved out. And as you rightly say, it's very close to the pedestrian crossing. There's no facilities for parking. And if people want a pizza, they are, I don't know how they're going to park, where they're going to park. It's all a bit tricky. So I think on the parking side, that's certainly significant. But on that particular part of Beaconsfield, we've got number 5. We've got the fish and chip shop. And during the day, we've got dear old Chez Pan as well, where I used to get my sarnies. It's pretty busy. The deliveries, generally speaking, are from Shepherd's Lane, so you don't get big Brakes Brothers or whatever they are, lorries parking outside. They do it at the back. But any poor devils that want to move in and out of Shepherd's Lane would struggle a bit. And in fact, actually, that's the area that delivers to the White Hart as well. So another retail premise that needs deliveries by, which presumably it will do, by lorry, is going to create significant problems. And I would question, quite frankly, really, whether indeed a takeaway is necessary in that part of Beaconsfield anyway, bearing in mind all the other hostelries that are within easy reach. So far as the building itself is concerned, the conversion, I was reading the report by the guys from because it's not is it a listed building?
It
Yes,
is listed,
yeah.
Grade
Sorry,
2.
yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Yes, grade 2. Yes, it is a listed building. And they were concerned, apparently at the rear, I must confess, I didn't see that. There's a roller shutter door, which they thought, I presume they haven't looked before. They wondered whether that was covered in the listing. Oh, I've got it here. Yeah. Did seem a bit strange, a listed building with a roller shutter door, but there you go.
No, it's external. It's only grade 2. It's not grade 1.
Oh, okay. I stand corrected there. So grade 2,
Yeah.
you can have a roller
Well, grade
shutter
2
door.
is internal. Yeah.
Ah, okay. Anyway, my view is this is possibly the most crowded. I mean, you've got for goodness sake, you've got the White Hart, you've got number 5, you've got the fish and chip shop, and the kebab chap is only just down the road, isn't he? Just the other side of the bus stop there. It's pretty busy. So if we have a pizza parlour there as well, I think it's slightly going to create issues. And as Jackson rightly says, there is no facilities for parking anywhere. I don't know where on earth people would park. I suspect what they'll do is to drive up in front of Chez Pan if they can, but I think there are bollards there now, are there not? In front of
No.
they used to have it. Oh, they're not. Oh, they're not there. There used to
No.
be bollards, I think.
There's some bollards.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Could I say
Sorry,
something?
Colette, you want to make a point?
Deirdre, go ahead. Let
Yeah.
Deirdre
Yeah,
go
yes,
first.
sir.
Yeah.
Deirdre, I beg your
Yes.
pardon. Sorry, Deirdre.
As a very near neighbour of this, just sort of a few doors along, I agree that I think it's a very difficult place to have a takeaway, because the fish and chip is all takeaway stuff mainly, though people do walk there. But people just double park, you know, in London End and go in and out. And I feel, as Jackson says, because it's right on the roundabout, people might cause a hazard of parking all around there. And there are bollards to stop you parking right on the corner of the roundabout, but people can get inside of those and sort of from Chez Pin, and they could park in there, and they would cause obstruction to the sighting of the zebra crossing. You wouldn't be able to coming around the corner to see whether people are crossing on the zebra crossing, because there'd be too many cars parked. But I don't know. In Gerrards Cross, it's up a side street, you know, the same shop. And that's obviously quite, you can park up there and pick up their pizzas. So it's not ideal.
Indeed.
Not ideal. For a takeaway, it'd be better for a restaurant where people stayed in it, you know. And they have got...
Sorry.
And they have got the Pizza Express opposite, so... It would be,
indeed. So yes, crikey. Who's
so we might?
Yeah, I just Graham wanted to say that I really feel that we should be encouraging businesses within Beaconsfield, and competition is not necessarily a reason for objecting to something. I agree completely with Jackson that this is completely a health and safety risk. You couldn't park there. It's only going to contribute to parking problems. It's positively dangerous. There's a white zigzag line all the way along. And what they've asked for is a separate takeaway to a restaurant. So they're not asking for, and so that is absolutely a no. And we have to object to it most strongly, so that anybody else who comes along and thinks this is a great idea actually looks at it and goes, no, maybe not. But I do feel that if it were a restaurant, it would be fine.
People where they sat down.
Yes. It's actually, I think the reason why they've gone the takeaway route is actually, as far as accommodation is concerned within the building, you're not going to have that many covers. I know. Yeah, I think that's the issue. They've got one of these pizza oven thingies, you know, they take up their room.
And retail has always failed there as well. So so it's a very unlucky site, actually. I hate to say that, but you know, and I think parking is part of the issue.
Yes, yeah. When I used to act for Helen Muir when she had her dress shop there, that's a long time ago. You probably don't remember that.
No.
No. That's before.
You worked in a dress shop. Wow.
It was a dress shop. Yes, she had some. Yes, I didn't buy anything, obviously, but it was quite good. Jackson, sorry, yes, you want to? Yeah.
Yes, Chairman. I'm just looking at the plans that Alexa's got on up here at the moment, and I note there are a couple of restaurants around the area as well. I'm also slightly concerned that, you know, behind on Shepherd's Lane on the side, you know, there are some residential properties as well. And they're quite condensed, and, you know, properties in residential properties in close proximity of one another. Now, as a pizza place, I think there'll be a lot of extractive, you know, smells, and I wonder from the environmental side of it whether there will be consideration on the impact on residents on the side of pollution. Or, you know, well-being of residents. I think that perhaps needs to be looked at as well, because you've got a takeaway restaurant down the road. You've got you've got takeaway. You've got a restaurant. On side there's a cafe. On the other side you've got a pub, gastro pub, and in the middle you've got quite a few flats. You know, I do wonder quality of life of residents will be affected by that as well.
I think it's a very good point, and certainly. So far as extraction is concerned with pizzas, which are cooked at fairly high temperatures in those ovens, the ability to burn a pizza is quite high, And the resultant odour is not desperately good for the neighbours. I quite agree with you. Yeah, yeah. So I think for all those, so we're number one is the parking. Number two, I think, is the closeness to neighbours, and the ability to extract harmful odours, etc., is not good. So, Paul, sorry. Yeah,
I would say the number one issue, which you haven't mentioned, is health and safety of people getting knocked over on the zebra crossing, because that's the biggest impact. And we already know we have a terrible problem with people stopping on zigzag lines, and this would only encourage it. And I fear that somebody would be knocked down. And so for that alone, we should object to it.
Yeah, good point, Paul. Yes. Okay. Right. I think we've done that, so to speak. Okay. Moving on to 2 Timmis Court. This is a single-story side extension. If I remember rightly, I think this was the affordable homes bit, and for Redwood Place. I believe that I'm right in saying that. So whoever's bought this obviously wants to try and make it a bit bigger, etc., etc. There has been a letter of objection. This is where I got confused. I know, I apologise. This is a neighbour who is saying it's.
I think they're in number 1 Redwood Place. I think.
Correct. Yeah. That's right. That's absolutely right, Paul. Yeah.
I had a look at this site. My issue related again to they want to build right to the boundary. That would mean I couldn't see, therefore, that there would be any way to access the rear of the property without having to go through the front door. I'm being new to this. That doesn't sound right. And I think the neighbour is objecting to potential damage to his mature trees. He has a brick wall with mature trees behind it. I seem to remember there were at least 4 individual trees. And I think he had concerns over that as well. So, but to me, having no access to the rear didn't seem right. But I don't know if that's a planning objection.
Well, it's a logistic issue, isn't it? I suppose. It's. I mean, 2 Timmis Court is a pretty small. Well, it's a very small footprint, and it's a pretty small building. The extension, actually, to be fair, isn't that large, but I do think it's the point about light, etc., is probably true. But as you rightly say, yes, the access will be through the property itself. Oh, here we are. Yes, proposed office. Yeah, I think that's the. Yeah, and proposed kitchen. Yes, yeah. I mean, it's right on both sides. It's right on the boundary, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a semi-detached. I seem to remember.
Yes, yeah, indeed. So, yeah. So, are we happy with this? Should we object to it?
I'm not sure on what grounds we can object to it.
Well, it's quite close to the boundary, Deirdre.
Yes.
In fact, well, it's on the boundary by the look of it. It's only, I agree, it's only single story, so it's got that in its favour. But it's well, and it's I don't think you can object to the fact that people have got to, the builders have got to go through the main house with their materials, etc., to do the build. They can't get access from the rear. I don't think that's a planning objection. We could say we're concerned it's an overdevelopment of the site, could we not? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Any comments? Right. Okay. Moving on. Tudor Lodge, 11 Disraeli Park. demolition of conservatory, erection of 2-storey side extension, insertion of 2 front, 4 rear and 1 side roof lights, changes to doors and windows, single-storey side extension, and 2 side dormers, 2 garage, and its conversion to living space. Yeah, it's certainly putting a quart in a pint pot, but it actually, I don't, the look of the property actually, in my view, from looking at the plans, I would have thought it's improved. I don't believe there are any objections. I weren't when I looked, but I don't.
Yeah, there is.
Oh, there is. I beg your pardon. I stand corrected. Perhaps we better read that.
Well, I can tell you what it is. It's their adjoining property actually wrote in and said they hadn't been consulted.
Ah, okay.
That doesn't matter.
No, I know, but you know, you said there weren't objections. There was.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
But they haven't been consulted. So are they objecting, or they're
objecting to the fact they haven't been consulted.
Oh.
So they're not objecting to the application. They're just objecting to the fact they haven't been consulted.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
No, that's
Yeah,
not necessary.
No. Well,
Well, they're asking.
Why has the council planning failed to contact us as required by? They're saying they haven't had notice from the council that they should have done if it's a neighbour, which I suppose is true.
Well, yes, I would be most surprised if they haven't.
Because you get a letter, you know, if it's a next door neighbour.
Oh, crikey, yes, yes. Yeah. Here we are. Yeah. Well,
that looks sort of separate from the house, doesn't it?
What's that, Deirdre? The kitchen, the living room. Yeah.
Yeah, it seems doesn't join onto the house at all.
No.
Seems a bit odd.
It does seem a bit odd, doesn't it? Yes.
Wouldn't
want to walk out the kitchen with your,
you know, under our separate dwelling caveats.
Yes, yeah. I thought it was connected actually, but I agree with you.
Surely,
that particular plan doesn't look as though it is. I accept that. Yeah.
That plan, yes. You can't see where it joins on.
I'm pretty sure it does join on, but I agree it does look separated. It's
unless that's basement. That could be basement.
Ah, yes, it could be. Yes.
Oh, yes, that goes underneath.
That's what. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
It's a separate plan.
Sorry, that's ground floor. It looks like it's a granny flat. Let's call it that. It looks like it's connected, but not internally. So you would have to go outside to get to it. There are stairs upstairs, presumably to a bedroom in this. This is the ground. And it looks like it's set up for some elderly family member, perhaps, to live in it, or staff, or whatever that might be.
Yes, yes, you're right. You're right. Well, excuse me.
Difficult one.
Well, yes, it's it's certainly a substantial extension. But apart from next door who are objecting to the fact that the council haven't notified them, I would have thought if they were going to object to the application, they would have mentioned
that. Get on with it.
I don't. I mean, it's those properties are fairly large footprints.
It's in keeping with the road.
Yes, I thought actually that it was the plans. The property looked quite good, I have to say afterwards. So I didn't have any reason to object. But yes, we could possibly.
It's just if that extension has a separate entrance, then it could be used as a separate dwelling.
Yes, but we'd have to have the caveat that where the property
again, and it shouldn't have its own entrance. It should be part of the entrance of the house.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. We could make that point. You're quite. And indeed, that may be the case, but it's not easy to see from the plan.
No, I can't see it really.
No, we can't.
It has a separate entrance called entrance B in the middle.
Right, up there, yes.
It does, you're quite right. Yes, it's an entrance B.
So you could cut that off and make it a separate dwelling, really.
And I think that's that's effectively what they've done. They've made it a separate living. Make it part of the one property. It can't be sold separately.
Yes, I think it needs that caveat on it again.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Well, moving on. 17 Callendon Road, single-story side extension, linking house to outbuilding. Again, it's well, a fairly large footprint. I don't believe there weren't, when I looked anyway, any letters of objection. I mean, and it's linking the house to the outbuilding, so it's all one entity at the end of the day. I hadn't got any objection to that.
Yep.
Does anybody else has any comments? No? Okay. 37 Deborah Lane, single-story rear extension, new front porch canopy, changes to doors and windows, roof light. Again, fairly large footprint, single story at the rear, new front porch, changes the doors and windows. No objection. Yeah. Okay. 61 Horseshoe Crescent, single story front extension. I hadn't got any objection to that. Unless anybody else has any comments to make. Okay.
Sorry,
Paul.
Question of clarification, and I'm not particularly on this one. Clearly, what they're looking to do here is to convert a garage space into accommodation. Now, a lot of people never put a car in a garage, but obviously it potentially is losing one off-street parking space and putting back into a street that, to my mind, looks under pressure. I am not picking on this one in particular, but is there anything that we need to be thoughtful about pressure on parking spaces in the town? That's my only comment. I didn't have a problem with what they're trying to do, other than, is this an issue for us or not? I don't know.
Right. Yes. I mean, there is pressure on parking in Horseshoe Crescent, tremendous pressure. And particularly where a number of people park and go next door to the film and TV studios, students mainly, actually. But I have to say that the single-story front extension has been replicated, I don't know whether you've noticed, in other parts of Horseshoe. So I don't think if we'd objected that they would take a huge amount of notice, to be frank, because I think that's already been done. But I take your point. You're quite right. It is a loss of a car parking space. Yeah, that is true. Yeah, I mean, you can't blame them for wanting to do that, but obviously to gain the extra space. But
exactly. But I think we just need to be. It's probably more a conversation about our whole views about parking in the town, but we need to be conscious of the fact that this is potentially increasing the pressure.
Indeed so. Yeah. No, I take your point. As I say, I think we will struggle a little bit with this one, bearing in mind that other applicants have been successful in doing virtually the same thing.
Yeah,
but I do take your point. Yeah,
I'm not objecting to this one in isolation.
Yeah. Okay. Walton Cottage 12, Sandalwood End. Alterations to detached front garage to allow for living space in loft, hip to gable side roof, extension and increase in roof height, new front dormer, 2 rear roof lights, external stairs to new side door, and addition of side window. What other work's going on here? Colette.
Yes, this little garage is actually a huge garage for disproportionate to the size of the house anyway. But they've also want to raise the roof height. which would mean that it's now not only the bulkiest thing in that strip of houses, but it's also the height will actually block most of next door, which I believe is vacant at the moment. So I don't know. I just feel that the height of this project is really, it's ridiculous, and it's setting a precedent for that whole road where you're now going to be able to build right up to the front.
Yes.
And you're going to be able to build a huge, bulky, so everybody's going for accommodation. Yeah, secondary accommodation.
Yes. I mean, they're having to increase the roof height and put the dormers in.
Put the secondary accommodation in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they're a bit further down the road, which is not covered by us, actually. That's in Penn. A similar application's been made. You probably know it has been passed. So, yeah, I take your... I didn't actually... What is the... Have we got the plans? Do we actually know what the increase in terms of...
Yeah, I can tell you by getting my ruler out and measuring it on my screen, because it does... Unhelpfully, it doesn't say on the plans. But
no, yes.
I estimated that it's going from about 4.7 meters to about 6 meters. So it looks like they're increasing the roof. The garage already exists. And effectively, the nearest property is to the south of it, and I seem to remember between the two houses, behind the current garage, are mature trees or mature hedge, I think. So they're certainly not taking any light from their neighbour. But I think Colette is right. It certainly is higher than anything else that I can think of in that part of the street.
So we're going up to about 6. Did you think it's about 6 meters in total, do you?
Up from 4.7. That was my estimate.
Yeah.
Measuring it on the screen.
So it's about 21 feet, something like that. Yeah.
Oh, perhaps we could just object on the height and say it's too high.
Possibly could. There's one further down the road which has done exactly the same, which, as I understand, it's been passed. But anyway, we perhaps on that. Yes, okay.
Putting a recommendation,
yes,
that it's too tall.
We can express a concern that the increase in height is not in would
proportion to the rest of the road.
It's not proportional. Would change the street scene. We could certainly say that.
Perhaps they could lower the height of the garage. Yeah, so that's the existing. If you go further down, the way they could reduce the overall height, because I think they show clearly, there's one picture on one of the drawings where they have a picture of a person standing. So you get, that's it, where you see the height. The only thing, might they be able to reduce the floor level and therefore reduce the height of the ceiling in the garage. Oh, there you go, 5.8 meters. I wasn't too far.
Okay, we weren't far out, Paul. Yeah. Right, okay, well, that's a fair comment. We could make that. Yeah. I don't know actually whether they take a lot of notice, but anyway, but we could certainly make that comment. Yeah. Okay.
I think it's worth commenting on.
Yes, indeed. No, I agree with you. Yeah. Okay. So just moving on, we've got approval of various conditions. Do you want me to run through those? I don't know whether any comments. Shall we if anybody's got any comments to make on any of those, do they want to? I've read them and didn't have much to say, to be frank. Unless anybody else has. Okay, fine. Moving on to the trees. Again, one has to rely on our friend Mr. Garnett to review these and go around and see whether, in fact, they're justified. There then it may well be that they're fine. There's quite a number of trees being felled, but I'm sure that there are good reasons for that. So what we normally do in these circumstances, sorry, Paul, yes.
No, all I was going to say is I think some of them, there is quite adequate information relating to what's going on. And indeed, they're talking about replanting, which I think is very good. It would be nice to have an idea that if you cut one down, you had to plant another one.
Well, you do. That is required.
Well, therefore, then thank you. Then number 1 Cambridge Road, I would say desperately needs more information. And there's no information about why these trees are having to be felled, and certainly no mention of replanting. And the same on tree 5 in 7 Westfield Road. So those would be those two didn't look right to me, and I would object to them.
Yeah, well, certainly what we normally do is we say we refer the matter to the tree officer, Mr. Garnett, and we request that in every instance where a tree has been felled, that a replacement tree of a similar type is put in its place.
Fine. Thank you.
Obviously, not a full-size tree, but a tree of a similar type is used as a replacement. Okay, everybody happy with that?
Yes.
Right. Well, just moving on, we've got planning updates. Is that the supplementary list? Yeah.
I only sent it through to you an hour before the meeting.
You did. So if
you haven't had time, I fully understand, because there are a lot of documents, and if you
Yeah, supplementary list is actually only one property, and it's relating to, I think it's 3, isn't it? Horseshoe Crescent, which actually is Grosvenor House, if you guys know the property. The idea is, because they've had a bit of a problem letting it commercially, they're now applying to turn it into 27 apartments. And there are 50 items of documents to look at. The bulk of them being objections of quite a significant variety. Have we got the opportunity to consider it at the next meeting before it goes to planning, or do we need to do this now?
It's actually, the consultation date is actually already closed, which is why it wasn't on our list today. It closed last week because I asked Tracy to only put on one side still open. However, the determination date isn't until after the end of next week, so we could make comments, but if you wanted time to review the documentation, we could do a sort of single item planning meeting next week, just one.
Okay, Alison?
I also wanted to mention an application on Warwick Road. Alexa, this one may have the same problem. The date may have closed. I'm not quite sure, but it's a permitted development application, and it's about 2 buildings on Warwick Road, numbers 20 and numbers 16. It's a change of use from office to flats in relation to number 16, which has in fact been decided, and an addition of an extra 2 stories on top of that building, and the addition of 2 stories on top of number 20. And if this committee has the opportunity to comment on those applications, it may wish to do so, and you may wish to consider that in addition to the 7 Horseshoe Crescent application as a separate meeting. It's entirely up to you. I just thought I'd bring those to your attention.
Let me just have a little look for that one and see what the dates are on it. Warwick Road.
I think we're going to see a lot more of these conversions from commercial to residential, apartments.
Yes, because it's allowed now. Yeah.
Yes. With the way things are going at post-COVID. I think this is quite my concern, and in fact, it's as far as Horseshoe Crescent is concerned, exactly what Paul was saying is the parking. I mean, 27 apartments. There's at least 27 vehicles there. Alexa.
Just on the Warwick Road one, it looks like the determination date was yesterday. So I think it's going to be unlikely you can put a comment in on that, but you can, if you want to look at the Grosvenor House one, we could still do it next week. Or you can, if you think you can consider it now, then you can consider it now.
Well,
Let's go up as well.
I think we can look at it. To be frank, I haven't had a chance really to study it at all. I'll be absolutely honest. But as you say, I only had it an hour before the meeting. Let me make a suggestion that I look at it and email round everybody with my thoughts, and perhaps we could do it via email rather than a meeting, if people are in agreement. What's the final date for that, Alexa?
The final date is, I think, the 29th.
Right. What are we today? We're the 17th.
We need to get in. I think you need to get in before, as early as possible next week.
Yes.
To give the officer a chance to.
Yes. No, I understand.
Finished last week, but they will accept your comments before the determination date. Yeah.
Well, I think it's only fair that we and I confess, read all the letters of objection. I did look through them, and they're wide and varied. It's not a question of one. So I think we need to look at the plans as well. And I think, quite frankly, we probably need 3/4 of an hour or something, each of us, to look at that before we should comment. So, unless anybody's got any other suggestion, I'm quite happy to look at them and come up with some sort of response, and which I will circulate for your comments, or unless anybody else has got any other suggestion. No? Right. Okay. I'm not going to be able to do it tomorrow because I'm afraid I'm somewhat booked with the grandchildren. But anyway, I will certainly look at it over the weekend, Alexa, and then come back to you. We'll put something together very early next week.
Yeah, Tracy's back on Monday, so if we could get
some
comments by Monday, she'll be on the minutes for this. We could include a comment.
Okay, that's fine. Right, now, date of next meeting. I thought actually we had that in your.
We do.
Yes. We got the date of the next meeting.
For it,
5th of August. Sorry, yes, you put it down here. Yes.
Okay.
Now I might be waterborne, Deirdre. How are you placed on the 5th?
I think I'm here. Yes.
You think you are? Right. I will have to consult my my fellow mariners.
Sounds nice.
Yes. Well, we chaps. I mean, I'm retired, so I'm easy. But the other fellows are a bit younger than me, and they have to work, so we have to fit things in. But I think the 5th, actually, I'm due to be on the water.
All at sea.
All at sea, yes. Well, that's me to a T, isn't it? Yeah.
If you want to change a date of a future meeting, that's absolutely fine.
No. Wait, that's okay. That's all right. Anyway, we'll see how it goes. Right. Do we have any AOB? Anybody want to make any other comments? No. Good. Right. Poor old Jackson's really suffering. I do feel sorry for you. You're really suffering tonight, aren't you?
Yeah. It's probably one of the worst hay fever episodes.
Yes. My daughter-in-law is wearing a mask and a visor at the moment.
The meeting, because we're still live. We're still live on.
Oh, sorry, I beg your pardon. Yes, indeed, I did. That's